Hi, there's Black Pepper here, and I'm hoping I pronounced it right. It's Kosua Prepper. He's from the Ukraine. Now, I'm doing a response on what he was talking about, and you might want to check him out. I like checking out all different preppers from all around the world. He's talking about these so-called preppers on YouTube and the Mad Max preppers, as he labels them. The Mad Max preppers are basically these here that you see on the Mad Max are running around with the guns, they're doing all this other stuff and get crazy. He said in that reality, and he, of course, lived in an area where he was exposed to a lot of this stuff. So the fact is, he's talking about you're coming up against 10 people is in this household, helped up, and they're going to come up against military trained people. You have one or two options. You either surrender or you flee. Bottom line. He says you're not going to possess the type of training and skill to defend off a bunch of military trained people in a situation on it. Now, he said you may hold out for a while, but it doesn't mean you're going to hold out long. But he said also nothing is checkpoints. Checkpoints will be enforced. He said going through with a gun in your hand means you're going to get arrested. So the guns are going to do you no good, basically, is what he's saying. The fact is he don't understand these YouTube preppers who, some of them is talking about, they talk about all these guns. They got 100 guns. They got ammo, on ammo. He says, how are you going to carry 100 guns and loads of ammunition? He said, in a real situation, the guns can very easily get you killed. You cannot go through these checkpoints with guns on you. You're not going to be able to flee your home with a bunch of guns on you. It's just not going to be loaded. So you're going to have to decide what gun you're going to use. That's why he said having a basic use of a gun is fine. But when you're prepping and you're buying all these guns, what are you going to do with all of them? He calls most of Mad Max preppers. They sit behind the scenes. They have all these fancy videos on YouTube and stuff. He said they've never experienced any kind of situation to know what it's really like. And they think they live basically in this fantasy world that everything's going to be just perfect. They're going to go out. They got all these hundreds of guns. They're going to do all this stuff. They're going to be Mad Max running around, with their guns and the souped up cars and all this other stuff. He says in all reality, it is not going to be like that. It's going to be checkpoints out there. It's going to be martial law out there. And he says, unless you are actually trained, unless your group has the time to actually train in military training and know what they're doing, their odds is going to be limited. And many people does have no training at all. So that's what he's talking about. He's called Mad Max preppers. Check him out. I'm going to write his name in the beginning of this. The video's around 24 minutes. So, he really talks basically about his own experience of what he's seen also and how he feels about the fact is that many Mad Max preppers out there is what he's saying is they're not for real preppers. They just think everything's going to be okie dokie, fine and perfect. But in actual reality, I agree with him on the fact, if you're having to go through checkpoints, you're not going to be able to carry a bunch of weapons with you. The 100 guns is not going to do you any good in a situation if you're barricaded or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot to think about. You got your bug out bag. You say you got 10 people and you got to run out and escape. What are you going to do? Are you going to take your weapons with you or choose whichever weapon? And then you're going to have to consider weight. The weight of them is what he's talking about. Can you imagine how heavy your backpack would be if you carried all of these guns and all of these bullets and stuff with you? So it's a lot to think about. But he calls them Mad Max preppers because to him, they're living in a fantasy world. Unless they've actually experienced things themselves, many of them has never gotten out behind the computer. Many of them has never actually gotten out behind the desk or actually got out there and done anything. They just talk about all this stuff. And that's what he's talking about, all these fancy videos out there, a lot of them. Because They've never done anything. So it's a lot to think about. But check him out. I make a practice to try to locate other sites around the world and hear their point of view and stuff. Many of them don't have a lot of subscribers. Some of them do have a lot of subscribers. But I like getting the viewpoints from other people who's actually lived these situations and knows what it's like to experience it. He's just telling you, you're not going to go through the checkpoints with a bunch of weapons on you. You're not going to be able to carry a bunch of guns and a bunch of ammunition with you and escaping. And unless you have military training, unless you're out there training every day with your group and you know what to do, and you got military trained people coming in after you, your odds is very limited and reduced unless you've got something figured out. So, like you said, Mad Max preppers. That's an interesting name. I never thought about calling them Mad Max preppers. But check his site out. And I admire the fact that he's being blunt about it. He's talking about his experience and how he really does feel about the fact that many of these so-called YouTube preppers are what he calls Mad Max preppers. There's a lot of prep here. I want you to be safe, be happy. Bless you all.